everyone, I've got another video here showing you how to use one of the Butterfly Gardens cut foil and embossed dies. I've got that heated up on my metal conversion plate. So these dies are fabulous as they cut in one complete piece. They foil because you're using your GoPress foil machine, and they also emboss. Now the best thing about these dies is you don't have to use a foiling machine. You can just use your normal die cutting machine. So this one here is one of the elements that I'm going to show you that I've foiled with normal foiling machine and some foil. Beautiful element, and that's all cut out beautifully. The other thing that you can do is you can actually use that stamp or that hot foil stamp die and ink it, and you can get a beautiful piece like this one here that I've inked before using the a normal die cutting machine. So I'm going to use those, show you how I've done these techniques. And then also the other technique I'm going to show you is how to use the leftover foiling on a piece of cardstock using your GoPress foil machine. So 3 techniques. So first of all, as I said, I've got my hot foil stamp on the top of my metal conversion plate. This is the thicker of the 2 plates. There's 2 plates, there's a thin one and a thicker one. This is a metal conversion, it's thicker. You need it for the pressure to allow your stamp to cut through your foil and your cardstock. Place a piece of foil on top, which I'm going to use this gorgeous vintage gold foil. I'm just going to cut a piece of that. This is, I think, one of my favourite foils. Place that on top of my cut foil and emboss, coloured side down, and a piece of cardstock. I'm just going to use a piece of white cardstock on top of that. I'm going to let that heat through. Now, depending on your die cutting machine, you may need to put a couple of layers or a couple of pieces of paper. As you can see how I've got some excess foil? I sometimes just fold a piece of A4 sheet of paper, fold it in half, and just place it on top of that, just to protect your lid, but also so the foiling doesn't go on your lid. Okay, I'm going to let that heat through. So once you've foiled it, you can get great effects with the leftover, the negative. And I've done one of these on a distressed coloured cardstock. I used some distressed oxides on some cardstock, and you can use a negative, and I'll show you how to do that. And that's again another one of using the negative of the foil just made into a straight card. Perfect. You're not wasting any of your foiling. So that's quite heated up, it's gone green. So I'm going to grab my die cutting machine. I'm using the Go Cut and Emboss machine, and I'm going to wind that through very slowly through my die cutting machine. You can use a big shot, you can use a Cuttlebug. There's quite lots of different die cutting machines that are out there. As long as it's got a 6-inch wide mouth opening, it will fit through. The platform of your Go Press and foil machine should fit through. Now, as you can see, I'm going really slowly, and then I'm just going to go one more time. So I've just gone up 1, 2, 3 times. Now, if you find that that's not enough pressure, you may need to put a piece of cardstock on top of there just to give it extra pressure. But I find that with these cut foil and embossed dies, I think that's all we need. So we'll just lift that off, and you can see that that's cut in one piece. That's left over. Right. And all you need to do is just give that a bit of a wiggle, and you have the foil piece come off, and look how beautiful that is. That is ready to go on a project. Now this is the waste, as you can see. It's the negative of the foil. Now I'm going to show you how you can use this to transfer on a piece of cardstock. Using your platform of your GoPress foil machine, you don't need the cut foil and embossed die, so we can place that away. we're going to grab, I'm going to place it on a piece of black cardstock this time, so that looks quite nice. And I'm going to place another piece of cardstock underneath and also another piece on top. So this is now placed underneath that metal conversion plate. There are a lot of techniques I've seen. I'm finding this works well with how I use this through my die cutting machine, but you can try other ones. There's another technique of using a embossing mat from your embossing, when you're doing embossing. I found that this is a great technique and I found it works every time. So as you can see, that's quite nice. You can straight away use that on a project. So once that's heated up a little bit more, we'll run that through our die cutting machine. And as I said, because you don't have the thickness of the die, you only just got pieces of paper, you may need to put some extra paper shims on top as you're running it through your die cutting machine. So that's ready to go. Place that through there. So I'm just putting a piece of paper shim on top of my platform as I'm running it through slowly again through my die cutting machine. Now sometimes you may not need that extra because you've got all that cardstock, so it just really depends. No, I don't need that, see? So this is quite firm, and if I just go slowly up and back, it should be fine. And that's the key, you're not going fast, you need to go slow so you get good heat coverage and good pressure. So I'll just go up one more time, because remembering we haven't got the thickness of that die or that hot foil stamp in there, we just got cardstock. So of course you need to have extra pressure from extra layers of cardstock. Okie dokie. So this should reveal. So just carefully lift that up, and I'll take all pieces of paper off, and this should reveal the image of the leftover foiling sheet on the cardstock. And if you just use your tweezers and you just gently peel off, there I have all the transfer of that leftover foil. Now there's some places that didn't quite grab, that's okay. It's given a bit of a distressed look, but you have used all your negative pieces from your foiling that you did when you foiled the first image. So that's the negative of that. So that's two techniques. Foiling naturally, like a normal, as it's intended to be. Foiling the negative using the GoPress foil machine platform. Now I'm going to show you how you can use your cut foil and emboss die with your die cutting machine, and also some inks. So the first thing you need to do is you need to ink this cut foil and emboss die with some ink, and I'm just going to use some nice gold ink, and you just dab the ink all over the hot foil stamp. Try not to use permanent inks, try to use pigment ink or dye inks, but not the permanent ones, because then your whole die will never be the same. Okay, so I've just covered that with some beautiful pigment ink. I'm going to grab a piece of cardstock and I'm going to place that on my platforms of my die cutting machine. With my Go Cut and Emboss machine, I have the A, C and also the B plate. Place my cardstock on top, place that on the sandwich and run that through my die cutting machine. Now this doesn't need to be going slow because you haven't got any foiling here, you're just actually cutting it and stamping and emboss at the same time. Quick and easy. And there you have cut, stamped and embossed image ready to create for your project. Then all you need to do is just get a baby wipe, and I suggest you do this straight away after you've actually done the stamping, so that just needs to be wiped off, and it comes off quite well very quickly if you do it straight away. If you leave it there, you might have a problem. Okay, so it's all clean, ready to use. And now I'm going to have all my projects. I'll make some cards or some little tags with the projects that I've used to create today, using a couple of techniques, using one cut and foil emboss die that you can foil. You can foil using the leftover foil on some negative with the negative image, and using inks to create a beautiful image that you don't need any foiling. You can just use it with a die cutting machine, and that's the fabulous and absolute brilliant idea that these dies don't need to be foiled. You can just use them with your inks and stamping. Okay, that's all for today. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to my channel down below, and if you like this video, give it a big like. This is a video that I've re-recorded without the music, so that way people were complaining about the music, so I've just now done that perfectly with the lower music. Thanks for joining me today. See you soon. Bye.